Hey guys, Danny here. Today we are looking at the Hubsan Zino Pro. This product was sent to me for review, and as always I'll put a link down in the description if you want to pick one of these up. Now let's jump straight into the video. I have already done a review for the Hubsan Zino. This is the Pro version, but I will put a link if you want to go and check that out also. This doesn't have many differences, but it does have an extended range of up to 4 kilometers. So for that reason, I won't be going into a ton of detail as it is quite similar to the previous version, but there have been some small refinements. One of those things is they've made the sticks on the controller a little bit more tighter, so they give you a little bit more feedback when you're moving them around, and I would say they do feel a bit better. I did also notice a bit of change in the flight model itself, but I will be talking about that when we take this off. The phone holder is built into the controller and is very nice and sturdy. This controller also has a built-in battery, so you don't have to worry about messing around fumbling for triple or AA batteries. You can simply plug this in and charge it up, and you also use a cable to connect your smartphone directly to the controller, which gives you a better link to the drone itself and a nicer FPV feed. First, I want to talk about the X Hubsan app. This is a strong point for the Hubsan brand because it is used by most of their drones, and I often find it very good compared to some others that I have used. It is very good overall as it guides you through the process of connecting and setting up the drone, and it reminds you to do a compass calibration, which is very important and even sometimes the best of us forget to do if we're in a rush. This is essential so that the drone flies correctly, and the app guides you through this process, which is very nice. Once you're past that, there's a whole bunch of options you can play around with, settings and things I recommend you check out because there's some stuff in there that I think is not on a very good setting by default. One example is the panning speed of the gimbal is extremely slow by default, and on both Hubsan drones I've had to change this because it's painfully slow, but some of you may like this, some of you may not, but you can crank it up pretty high so you can get some really fast panning shots, but I had it somewhere in the middle and I found that best. It's also worth noting you will need a fast micro SD card to record in 4K, which is a mistake sadly I made for this video. So the footage from the camera is 1080p at 60 frames a second because I did get a message saying that my SD card wasn't fast enough, so I couldn't record in 4K. Sorry about that. My previous experiences with Hubsan drones has often been very good, so I did have high hopes for this one, and definitely on my first impressions I felt that the drone held in place very nicely and was nice and precise to control. This sometimes can be an issue with GPS drones as you'll move them into a position, and as they find their GPS lock they sometimes toilet bowl slightly, some worse than others, but this drone did feel nice and precise as the previous version did. I know some people did have some problems with it, but I didn't myself. When I took my hands off of the controls and initially when I took off, there was some slight adjustment in the height of the drone, but generally it stayed in position really nicely and didn't move around too much. But there was not a lot of wind on this day, so it would be nice to redo this test on a very windy day and see how well it holds up, because that's quite a rough test to put a drone through, so maybe I'll do that in another video. First of all, I took the drone a fairly short distance away from me to test out the return to home feature. Please note I won't be doing a range test in this video as it's not really feasible due to current laws, and also I don't have the luxury of being in the middle of the desert like someone like Quadcopter 101. So if you do want to see a range test, go watch his video. He does get the drone to about 1500 meters I believe, which is very impressive. Hopefully we'll see if someone can push it even further. So I can confirm that this drone does have very good range. Whether it has the 4 kilometers I can't confirm or deny that yet myself. When you're using the return to home feature, you can have the drone return to your current position marked by the controller that you're holding, the takeoff point, or you can ask it to land in the current place it is. It will slowly descend and land, so you do get 3 different options. The return to home process is very good on the Zino model. Felt precise, it turns and faces your position. You can also adjust the height that the drone will go to before it returns to you. This is not a specific feature to Hubsan, but it's nice to have it nonetheless. In particular, one thing I do like about the Hubsan drones is the return to home process feels really fluid and it's not too slow. Sometimes return to home can be really slow and sluggish on some drones, like they're taking their sweet time to come back to you, but this felt really good and on point. Next up, I decided to test the follow me mode. This lets you draw a box around yourself and the drone will visually track you based off of the information inside the box. It will turn and even pan the gimbal to keep you in view. While the drone is great at tracking you, if you circle the drone, it does seem to have problems if you move away. The gimbal will pan up and follow you, but the drone doesn't really seem to physically move much. This was the same in the previous version, and I was hoping they would have made this better, as follow me modes in other drones will make an effort to follow you, but this doesn't quite seem to do that, which was a little bit disappointing. Next up, I tried the point of interest orbit, and what this will do is orbit the GPS location of where your controller is. So sometimes this can be slightly off if the GPS isn't accurate enough. While it wasn't perfect here, and it never is, it was pretty good, and this is another area where I do like the Hubsan app, as it gives you good information at all times. At the start, I didn't have the drone at the correct height, so it guided me to do so. And then once you're in the mode, you can change the orbit speed and even change the direction that the drone will orbit around you. You can see it is slightly off, but this is quite a nice feature that you could legitimately use to get some cool shots, and is something I think worth having in the app. There are some features that are included in these drone apps that just seem a little bit silly, but this is definitely one I can see people using. The drone does also have an option to switch it into a sport mode, which is something I would recommend looking for if you are spending a fair amount of money on a drone, because sometimes you do get bored of using GPS mode, which can be quite sluggish and ideal for photography. But if you want to use your drone to have some fun, you're going to want to have some more responsive settings and a slightly faster speed, which sport mode gives you. Now, while I would like to be able to have faster speed than the Hubsan app allows you, you can adjust this, but it wasn't quite fast enough for my liking. But it was nice to have an extra bit of responsiveness to throw the drone around and have some fun. So I'm really glad the feature is there, although I think it could use some tinkering to be just that little bit more exciting. So of course, when reviewing a drone, we have to talk about the camera, and this is using the same camera to last year's model, or at least as far as I can tell. So it does still suffer from some minor problems that the previous did, and that is sometimes you are overexposed and there are some problems where there's a lot of light in the shot, the camera blows it out and you get some really bright white colors. But overall, for most shots it will serve you okay, and I do think it puts out some pretty decent quality for the raised price tag. Like I said, I would have liked something a little bit better, so I'm going to be a little bit harsher on the product. Nonetheless, you can still get some really amazing shots like this one. As we come to the end of the video, I just want to give you my final thoughts on this drone. It does sit in a bit of a grey area for me because it does have quite a high price point. So while I can't say this is the best value drone on the market, it is definitely one of the best that I have personally used. So I don't have any problems recommending it to you, because as an overall package, it does feel well thought out. It has a good solid app, and even for beginners, I don't think this is a bad drone to start with because it works so well. Anyone who wants to see some extra footage, I will put a little show reel at the end of the video for you. I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. And of course, I will see you in the next one.